Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really strange knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Miguron Gelati? I'm not really sure. The word it's not really a word. Google wants me to use the word gelato, which is like ice cream. It keeps telling me that I'm misspelling that word when I try to look up the pronunciation and the definition, so I have to assume they made this word up. I'm not really sure how they intend us to pronounce it, but that's the least confusing thing about this knife. This is a complete and total departure from what we typically see from Miguron. I mean, this is so out of left field, and on top of that, it bears a striking resemblance to the Reich Alien, which we are going to take a look at and also discuss. Beyond that, this knife has two other extremely interesting features that we typically don't see a lot of. So that's really, really cool. There's a lot going on here. Thanks so much to Miguron for sending this knife in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. Make sure your notifications are turned on in the, for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. And this guy is linked in the description. Bunch of different configurations. This is the black one. They have a bunch of different colors. I suggest you check it out and see for yourself. Let's go ahead and measure this knife. The overall length of the Gelati is 8.5 inches. Big knife. Blade length 3.75. Cutting edge is also about 3.75. Let's do some size comparisons and let's get this out of the way right off the bat. So here is the Reich Alien, and you can see here it's clearly like the same look. Like this is not an accident, but is it a copy? No, it isn't. A lot of people like to define copy as it kind of has similar elements, or it's got elements that look similar. So what would get you in trouble in the knife world would be a direct like cloning of this, a line for line cloning. That's what would get you in trouble. That's not what's happening here. Could it possibly be designed by the same person? Possibly. I'm going to let Miguron maybe chime in down in the comments if they're watching this and explain. I think that would be good for you guys to hear it directly from Miguron. But yeah, it's possible. To my knowledge, the Reich Alien was designed by the owner of Reich. That would be strange for this to occur this way, but I don't know. People are going to probably go down in the comments and say they're both a copy of the ADV Scavenger. People who say that don't realize that the ADV Scavenger is actually made by Reich. So no, the original is the Alien. That's where the design came from. So this is the Alien 4, and you can see here there are wild differences. Really the biggest similarity is the look of the sort of alien-like bone structure. And the holes mostly, but you can see a lot of the detail, like the detail work is just different. The total number of holes and the milling and things like that, it's different. So yeah, it looks really, really similar. But if it wasn't designed by the guy who made the Alien, do I think this was intended as like a direct ripoff? No, I think it's just like kind of made to have a similar aesthetic. So I don't know. You can tell me what you think in the comments. Let's go ahead and do some other more common size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Up against the 80-10 and my own Excalibur, this knife is about the same overall size as both. Maybe slightly. No, it's about exactly the same. We're at an angle here, so whatever's at the bottom is going to look the biggest. But yeah, it's a pretty big knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3, which is right there. There we go. Spyderco Para 3. Big knife, bigger than both. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? This is an interesting segment. I like Miguron. I like them a lot. They make really good knives, usually very competitive in price. I think the action is good. Their action has never really blown me away. Truth be told, the action on this knife is not like, oh my God, I've never experienced anything like it, but it is curiously different. Just like there's something going on. It feels better than what we typically get from Miguron. I don't know why. The D10 is great. The flipper tab's great. Disengagement of the lock bar is great. But the pivot action itself is just oddly different. It's a little bit smoother. I don't know. Maybe this is a newer thing. Maybe they're, this is like them breaking the ice and creating wilder things because they have new equipment. I don't know. I remember kind of feeling the same way when Wii knives went from their typical, like, yeah, it's pretty good, to what the heck, like the magic sauce is what I was calling it for a while. All of a sudden, there were certain Wii knives that were clearly higher effort, right? So this kind of is that way. It feels really good. I'm not saying like, oh my God, I've never experienced anything like this. Not like the, what's the Chinese mid-tech that I keep wanting to say Genesect, like the Pokemon. It's the Gen X Primarch. That was clearly like top tier, super custom, wild, pivot. It's not like that. It's just noticeably better than what they typically do. It's noticeably smoother, so that's neat. Honestly, it works just fine, and you can use the little opening hole there to reverse flick it. Not the most comfortable. Same way with the opening it this way. I mean, the flipper tab's going to be the best, but it's good. Let's do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's maybe a hair thicker, not much. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. It's just kind of an odd curvature. It's kind of a little bit of a weird object to carry in your pocket, not only because of the curvature, but just because of all the lines and everything. Like every time you pull it out, it's just, you're aware that it's not a typical shape and texture and structure of knife, right? But it's not necessarily taking up a lot of room. It's just kind of odd. You can see there, really, it's not a whole lot more than just the PM2. It's about the same. It is going to be different in terms of weight, though, because this is titanium. In fact, on the subject of materials, this is not just titanium. Let's look really, really closely here. Oh, can you see it? Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen this. This is DLC coated or black crystal titanium. Crystal titanium, that is really cool. Now, the science behind crystal titanium and how they do it, and isn't there something like it technically can occur naturally? I can't remember. Crystallizing titanium does add cost, and it does technically improve the structural strength of titanium, I guess. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know, because I don't. This is just information that I have been told by more than one person and have read myself. I do not know how they create it, and I do not know exactly how much it improves it. And I've never really had a problem with regular titanium either, so I don't know if that really Really, though, it's just cool. Mostly it's cool, especially when it's anodized in bright colors, because then you really get to see the crystallization and you see the light reflecting off of these different surfaces, and it has different colors in it. This you don't see as much, but it is kind of cool that it's black, DLC coated crystal titanium. That's neat. I like that. My question is, since DLC will take on the finish of whatever was applied to the blade underneath, I know that titanium can be polished. Can crystal titanium be polished, like near mirror? That would be really interesting to see, especially if it could be DLC coated afterwards. But anyways, it's just a lot of interesting stuff that, is unknown about, at least from my perspective, unknown about crystal titanium. But it is cool, and it is something that you have to factor into cost. Whether or not it actually equates to meaningful utility, people can argue about that, but the fact is that it does cost more. So if you don't like that, then you're going to want to avoid crystal titanium, because they're going to charge you more because it's crystal titanium. So kind of cool, though. The blade is Vanax, which is definitely not a blade steel that we see a lot from Miguron. And really, we don't see that blade steel a lot in the knife world. It's one of my favorite steels. I think it's awesome. It is an expensive steel. Anytime you see Vanax, the price is going to go up for sure. So that's neat. Well, HRC hardness, it looks like it's between 59 and 61. I like to see Vanax at 60 plus, but Vanax does actually cap out, I think, at either 61 or 62. So it'd be nice to get it up there. But I know that, there's always people who are like, every blade should be pushed as hard as possible. It should be up there at 68, and that's wrong. Every composition has a different optimal range, and you can't just heat treat any blade steel to any number. That's not how that works. So Vanax, to my knowledge, caps out as either 61 or 62. It'd be nice to see it at 60 plus, but okay. This is DLC coated as well, which is really neat. Not necessary because Vanax is insanely stainless, but okay. So titanium, crystal titanium. The pocket clip is also crystal titanium, and so is the back spacer. And then we have the Vanax blade. Let's go ahead and weigh it. It looks like it would, be really, really heavy, but there's a lot of milling. I mean, there's an enormous amount removed from the frame itself because of the holes and everything. So my guess is it's not going to be too far over 4. It's 4.5, 4.6 ounces. Okay. Balance on this knife is about right there behind the pivot. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Probably everything's going to be a T8. I think you guys really should have done black screws here and black for the. It's just the screws really kind of break the immersion. It's just like it's like screw like it's just really it's just kind of an odd, I don't know. They stick out like sore thumbs. I do appreciate that everything's T8 on there. Hidden pocket clip, screw for the pocket clip. Yeah, easy to take apart. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Okay, there they are. So the blade stock thickness, probably going to be pretty thick. I think that looks like 165 to me. Even more, 187 thousandths. Thick blade. Not sure why, but thick blade. Okay, got that done. Let's go ahead and move into the meat and potatoes. This is a cool looking knife. I mean, it looks, like the Reich Alien, but it's cool looking. It's also less expensive for sure. So ergonomically, it, just like the Reich Alien, does not look like it would be comfortable. It looks like it would be really sharp and, like squeezing a handful of bones. No, actually, it's not only comfortable, I'd say this is really comfortable. The little notch in here for your thumb, the jimping there, the edges are so beautifully knocked down. It's really such a cozy little, for squeezing something that resembles the carcass of a hostile alien. That's actually pretty cozy. It makes me think that it would be. It's so weird. But yeah, it's cool. They have their Miguron logo right here. That's nice. This, unless I'm mistaken, looks to be a little bit different than how they normally do it. I don't know. I'd love to find out that they are about to take some big step. I have talked with, I know this is going to get brought up because this is a frame lock, and everything that Miguron releases is either a crossbar lock, a frame lock, or a liner lock. I have talked with Miguron about this in great detail here very recently, and I said you don't have to get rid of these models or stop making new models with frame locks, liner locks, and axis locks, but you need to start doing some different things. I brought to their attention, it surprised me they didn't know this, I brought to their attention that one of the most popular locking systems right now, I think largely thanks to people like me yelling about it all the time, is the patent, the patent ending on the compression lock and allowing, these companies to use this locking system. It's very popular right now. Button-operated compression lock, top liner lock, whatever Kaiser calls it. It's popular. It's also extremely secure, and it's nice because you don't really have to put your fingers in the way of the blade path on closing. Really cool. So I think it'd be nice to see that mixed in. There's a lot of models that Miguron makes that would be made infinitely more interesting with a different locking system. So I hope we see that. Not just the compression lock, but just different things. They have the ability to create wild and crazy designs, very straightforward, practical designs. And they're obviously utilizing premium materials, and they're willing to work with stuff. Their prices are great. All that they're really missing it's just a more interesting locking system, right? I don't want to get stuck on locks. I just know because anytime I show a frame lock, people are like, and I kind of get it, So, but anyways, the pocket clip, a little bit weird, and there is exactly what the experience pushing this knife into your pocket is a lot like off-roading. Going over big, it's like click, 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 click as it goes in there. That's kind of what you're going to experience, but it's not bad. I mean, I'm in sweatpants today. I have to hold the pocket. You can't see it, but I can. It's like, bop, 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 bop. I don't know if you could hear that. You can feel every single bump in and out. Not a big deal, right? Blade profile is, you know, the thing about the Reich Alien is that the blade is just as wild and crazy as the frame, right? You have the housing for this, you know, Reich's version of Damasteel, the housing, which is attached to another steel part before it actually contacts the frame. It's just wild, right? This has got a little less wild, right? It's almost like a, you know, like what we have here, we got PS5. This is kind of like PS4, maybe PS3. It's not quite as detailed. And then the blade is like, and a clip point blade, you know, or a trailing point blade. Yes. And trailing point and alien body. Like, it's kind of a weird balance. The teeter-totter, man, like this side is all the way down. The heavy guy sitting on this side. We got a much lighter person on this side. It's weird. But maybe, you know, if we're going for practical, yeah, sure. This is a practical blade. I can't decide if I see a subtle, I don't see a subtle recurve. It's a trick of the eye. It does come down to a kind of medium on the thicker side edge, but it slices well. It'll cut. It's just not like the thinnest behind the edge thing. It looks good. Fit and finish all the way around. It's really, really nice. Just good. I'll let you guys take a look at that plunge grind because it's pretty thick. Oh, golly gee, that's a thick one. Some people are going to hate that, and some people won't care. You can make up your own mind. Big old backspacer, lots of detail there. That's fun. Pocket clip is right hand tip up only, so sorry lefties. We do have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. I think this is funny. I wanted to make a joke about having 7 lanyard holes or 8 lanyard holes, but you can't really do that because, I mean, maybe this one, but that's all cutting edge that would contact it. So it does have a dedicated lanyard hole, and that's what you want to use there. Stop pin, regular stop pin located in the traditional spot. Runs on bearings, you probably knew that. No blade play, up, down, left, or right. No lock stick whatsoever. No double clutch. No pivot lash. Really oddly smooth. Nice detent. Is it centered? Yeah, you know what? It sure is. No detent lash either. How much is this knife? We have to factor in, this is not a typical Miguron. Not at all. It feels like extra effort was involved. You know, not only in the pivot, but everything, all the milling and everything like that. No, this is not cast. I actually confirmed this about the original Reich Alien. Everybody thought it was cast because there's no way it was milled. It was milled. I confirmed it. This is the same way. It is not cast. It is milled. Right, so there's a lot of detail there. It's also crystal titanium. I don't know this to be a fact, but I'm going to guess that this is true. So take this, you know, don't take this as absolute fact, I'm guessing. Crystal titanium is probably harder to machine. I also would assume that the titanium is crystallized before they mill it. Why do I think that? I'm not really sure. I'm just guessing. I don't think you can do the milling and then crystallize the part. I think it has to be crystallized first. If crystal titanium makes it tougher, I would assume that would make it hard. I don't know that it necessarily makes it harder. It might, right? Maybe that would make it easier to machine. I'm not really sure. I would need somebody who knows factually, not somebody who read some words online and interpreted them a certain way. I need someone who works with this stuff factually to confirm if crystal titanium is actually harder to machine, if it puts more wear and tear on the machines. Because if it does, that is another cost to consider. Not just the cost of crystal titanium itself, but the cost of wear and tear on the machines. We have to. We may not like that we have to factor that in, but we do have to, right? This is DLC, the entire thing, and this version of it's a little more expensive, but even the base version is Vanax uncoated. That's still very expensive, and then all of the additional, like the backspacer and pocket clip and all that. So the base price of this knife is $299. Do I think that's fair? Oh my God, yeah, are you kidding? Absolutely. That's extremely fair. Where do we see this combination of materials anywhere else? People are going to want to aggressively ignore the fact that this is Vanax and the fact that it's crystal titanium and just basically condense it to premium blade steel and titanium frame lock. And you can get that for, you know, some companies sell those for $180. They do, but not crystal titanium and not Vanax. That doesn't really exist hardly anywhere. The closest company to do stuff like this would be like Kunwu or Knoll Knives. I think was at Vanax and like titanium. They did a crystal titanium. That was a way more expensive product. It was combined with Damascene steel. But we just don't see this combination. So there's not really a whole lot to compare to. And what's out there is I think, always more expensive, right? If you don't like how this looks or you're bored by frame locks, that's fine. That doesn't change the fact that the price on this is lower than anything else that's the same, right? So yeah, but then again, I can completely and totally understand looking at something like this and going, that's not for me. I think this will be for very few people because of the aesthetic. But I do think that it's cool, and a bunch of people will love it. And if you love it, right, and you love knives in this territory, you're going to love that price tag because it can't be beat. At least it's not being beat right now, The version that's all DLC is $325. Not bad. $25 more for the whole thing being DLC. It really depends on what you like, But the non-DLC versions are all like hyper anodized and they're super colorful. It looks like the best versions of Crystal Tie are the bright anodized colors, right? So go for it. Is this a knife that I can recommend to everybody? No. Absolutely not. This is a knife that you really have to love the look of. But if you love the look of it, then yeah, the price tag is great. It's also a very expensive item. $300 is a lot of money for a pocket knife. So if you are just setting foot into the knife world and you're like, should I buy this? No, no, absolutely not. You should start in the budget knife world and then you can kind of climb up from there and decide if you even want to climb up or if you enjoy the stuff that costs a lot less, right? If you're just looking for a straightforward utilitarian pocket knife, you can get those for $30, actually from the same company. They sell knives that cost less than $30 that are fantastic. So I would suggest you start there first. Either way, I will link this down in the description so that you guys can check it out if you want to. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Cool knife, weird stuff. I want to see more DLC Crystal Tie. Where did my card go? There it is. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.